What if I told you the most effective way to make a man pursue you is to do absolutely nothing? No texts, no checking if he's seen your stories, no asking about his day, just nothing. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Yet this is precisely where Carl Jung's profound teachings come into play. When you consciously withdraw your energy from someone, you stop fueling their ego, and in doing so, you begin to reveal their true intentions. This isn't about manipulation, it's about claiming your inherent power. Many women don't realize that their constant emotional, mental, and even spiritual availability makes them invisible. Not because they lack value, but because they never give a man the chance to experience what it's like to miss them. In Jungian psychology, this is known as projection. We cast our inner light onto someone else, hoping they'll reflect it back. But when you stop giving and start being in a state of receiving, something wild happens. He begins to pursue you. So even if you're multitasking right now, let this message resonate in the background. Your subconscious will absorb what your heart likely already knows. You're giving too much, and it's time for him to start putting in the effort. The energetic power. Why stepping back works better than chasing. Here's a truth no one tells you. Men don't fall in love when you give them everything. They fall in love when they feel the absence of what you once offered so freely. Think of it this way. Humans are hardwired to pursue. Carl Jung said, what we pursue represents the unconscious parts of ourselves. Desires, fears, wounds. So when you strategically ignore a man, you cease to be a constant source of emotional validation and transform into a mystery his mind yearns to solve. And mystery, as we know, is magnetic. Chasing someone often stems from fear. Fear of losing him, being forgotten, or not being enough. But the moment you redirect that energy inward, when you stop trying to be chosen, everything shifts. You become a rare commodity, and scarcity by its very nature creates value. Have you ever noticed that the least invested people often receive the most attention? It's not because they're cruel or toxic. It's because their energy isn't desperate for consumption. They aren't needy. This is energetic power. You don't need to say a word. Your absence speaks volumes. When you chase him, you affirm he's the center of your world. But when you pull back, he's forced to ask, why isn't she chasing me anymore? Did I do something wrong? Is she with someone else? That's when you start living rent-free in his head. This isn't about being cold or detached. It's about rechanneling your energy. Instead of giving it to him, give it to yourself. Your peace, your transformation, your silence all speak louder than any "I miss you" text you could send. And remember, ignoring here isn't rudeness. It's simply the inability to engage with what doesn't nourish you. When you truly know your worth, you stop trying to prove it. You embody it, and that's when he starts to feel the void you've left behind. Emotional absence. Stop feeding his ego. There's something men won't admit, but many women instinctively feel. They enjoy being chased because it inflates their ego. Every quick reply, every check-in, every time you break the silence first, you're not reconnecting. You're reinforcing his sense of control. But Carl Jung warned us, when we give too much of ourselves without getting anything in return, we are not loving. We are unconscious. You're operating on a pattern you likely don't even recognize, a pattern rooted in fear, not love. And here's the crucial insight. Most men aren't narcissists, but many grow accustomed to the comfort of feeling constantly desired. When that attention suddenly vanishes, something within them panics because you're no longer there to reflect how great they feel about themselves. You are absent. This absence, this silence, is a direct challenge to his ego. It's not that he misses you. He misses the version of himself that felt important when he was with you. And here's where it gets interesting. If he only wanted your attention, he'd disappear when he no longer gets it. But if you genuinely matter to him, he'll start seeking you out. Your absence becomes a filter, separating genuine interest from an ego-driven need. Jung said we all wear masks, personas that hide our true selves. When you're always available, you feed that mask. You validate the surface. But when you withdraw your attention, he's forced to confront what lies beneath. This discomfort, this confusion, that's his ego crumbling. And therein lies your power. So how do you stop feeding his ego without being unkind? Don't reply instantly. Don't initiate conversations. Don't explain your silence. Don't post stories solely for him to see. Let your absence speak. Let your mystery breathe. You're not here to convince a man of your worth. The right man will see it in your presence, but he will prove it in your absence. When you stop giving so much, something beautiful happens. Your energy rebalances. You're no longer begging for crumbs. You become the whole feast. And suddenly, the one who thought he had you secured realizes he might have lost the best thing that ever happened to him. The power of silence. When you ignore, you speak volumes. Many women believe they need to talk to be heard, to explain themselves to be taken seriously. But Carl Jung said the soul expresses itself in what is unsaid. And when you choose silence with a man, you speak louder than you imagine. Silence isn't emptiness, it's tension, it's mystery, it's the seed of doubt. And for a man accustomed to having constant access to you, it's like an emotional alarm bell. Suddenly he can't predict you. He doesn't know what you're thinking. And that uncertainty drives him wild. It's simple. What's taken for granted is eventually lost. But what disappears without explanation becomes an obsession. When you choose not to react, not to respond, not to engage, you create a space that forces him to wonder, where did I go wrong? Why isn't she chasing me anymore? What changed? And in that process, he not only begins to value you more, but he also has to confront his own emotional immaturity. Jung called this confronting the shadow, that side of ourselves we avoid, deny, and hide. When you withdraw into silence, he can't help but confront his own. The discomfort he feels isn't about you, it's about him. That's why silence isn't a punishment. It's a revelation. Every message you don't reply to, every call you don't answer, every moment you choose your peace over pleasing him is your way of saying, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not dancing with your ego. I've chosen myself. You don't need to block him. You don't need to leave him on red out of anger. You just need to disappear as calmly as possible. Not to manipulate, not to punish, but to remind yourself that you're no longer the woman who chases after someone who overlooks her. Because when he feels that void, he will react. Maybe with messages, maybe with indirect jabs, maybe with anger. But don't be fooled. That isn't love. That's his ego trying to reclaim what no longer belongs to it. And if he truly cares, he won't give up so easily. But this time, you get to decide if he's worth it. How to create a void. He wants to fill. One of the most effective and elegant strategies is to let him ask the questions. When you're always available, always explaining, always fixing, he doesn't have to think. You're doing the emotional labor for both of you. But when you pull back, when you offer no explanations, when you simply disappear, the silence fills with questions. And that doubt, that curiosity, why did she pull away, is what keeps him coming back. Carl Jung said, the unconscious moves through symbols. And when you leave without drama, without explanation, leaving no obvious clues, you become a symbol, a riddle, something he can't quite grasp but desperately wants to solve. Men don't chase the obvious, they chase what makes them think. Think of it this way. If he knows you'll always be there, he has no reason to move. But if one day he notices you're no longer reacting the same way, you're not as present, your energy feels distant, something within him activates. He'll start replaying conversations, rereading your messages, looking at your pictures, wondering if he made a mistake. That space you've created with your absence now weighs on him. It throws him off balance. And like any human, he wants to close that gap. But here's the most important part. Don't be the one to fill it. Let him try to fill it. Let him put in the effort. Let him ask the questions. Let him show his intentions. Because if you rush to fill the silence to explain his feelings, you break the spell. This emotional game isn't about winning. It's about seeing who's truly willing to move towards you. And if he starts acting, seeking you out, reconnecting with intention, then you're no longer chasing, you're receiving. And that's when real change begins. Your silence was a mirror. Your absence was a message. And now, if he wants your presence again, he'll have to prove he's learned the lesson. Because you're not here to be an option, a backup plan, or a source of validation. You're here to be chosen with intention. And if that means walking away in silence, then that silence will be your greatest act of self-love. The allure of emotional distance. When you unplug, you shine. There's a quiet beauty in a woman who walks away without a scream, who no longer responds with force, who offers no excuses or anger. She simply leaves. And that's not coldness. It's evolution. Carl Jung spoke of the process of individuation, where a person begins to detach from external expectations and reconnect with their purest essence. When you choose to step away from a man who isn't giving you what you deserve, you are going through precisely this process. You're no longer seeking validation externally. You're starting to find it within. And when you do, your energy shifts. You begin to shine differently. You're no longer the woman waiting for him to change or begging for attention. You're the woman who chooses herself first, and it shows. Even if he doesn't say it, he feels it. He notices you're no longer emotionally available. He notices you don't react the same way. He senses there's a new version of you being rebuilt, and it's no longer dependent on him. And this new version of you, the one who puts on makeup for herself, who laughs alone, who goes to bed without checking her phone, is the most powerful because she is centered, connected, complete. And the most ironic part of all this is, the distance that initially felt like a loss becomes a fierce magnet of attraction because now he doesn't need you. And that energy, that confidence is magnetic. Men can sense it when a woman no longer revolves around them. They feel it, they sense it, and they don't know why. But suddenly they miss you even more. They try to reach out to regain what you've already outgrown. But here's the crucial part. You didn't leave so he would come back. You left so you could come back to yourself. And if he does return, let it be because he recognized your worth, not because his ego felt bruised. Let it be because he wants to grow with you, not because he can't stand losing control. You're not here to beg for love. You're here to attract it from your wholeness. So yes, unplug, not to punish him, but to reconnect with yourself. And you'll see how your light, the one no one can touch, begins to attract precisely what you deserve. Set boundaries without saying a word. Often we think that to set boundaries, we must explain them, talk them through, justify them, repeat ourselves. But in truth, the strongest boundaries aren't spoken aloud. They are lived. Carl Jung said that what is not integrated into our consciousness manifests as fate. What does that mean? That if you're not aware of your worth, you'll continue to attract people who don't see it. That's why, when you choose to walk away without an argument, without drama, without warnings, you set a true boundary, one that needs no words. Not replying to messages without intention, not accepting last-minute invitations, not being available to someone who only shows up when it's convenient. These are all ways of saying, for me, it's all or nothing. This is self-respect, because you can say, I deserve more 1,000 times, but if your actions continue to tolerate the bare minimum, he won't take you seriously. Not because he's cruel, but because you're showing him that your love is negotiable, and true love isn't. Setting energetic boundaries means being consistent. If he texts you whenever he feels like it, and you instantly reply, that's your boundary. If you see him with another woman and still forgive him without real change, that's your boundary. Your true boundary isn't what you say, it's what you allow. When a man feels he can't access you the way he used to, he realizes something has changed, and that something is you. You're no longer willing to play second fiddle. You're no longer settling for emotional crumbs. You're no longer waiting for him to give you the space you can give yourself. And the best part, you don't have to shout about it. You just behave differently. That's what frustrates a man's ego the most. A woman who walks away without making a scene, who doesn't demand explanations, who simply no longer exists on his terms. That kind of energy isn't forgotten. It leaves a mark. Because more than words, you communicate through your actions that you are not available for less than you deserve. And that clarity, that quiet strength, is what truly sets a boundary. Let him come to you, the ultimate test of his true intentions. After all you've done for him, isn't it time he did something for you? Carl Jung said that when you stop acting from fear, you begin to see reality as it is. And that applies to love too. When you stop pushing, stop being the one who's always available, stop being the one who makes the first move, the most important truth reveals itself. Is he here for you, or just for what you give him. When you stop reaching out, stop wondering if he cares. When you focus on yourself, your life, your world, he feels the shift. And he has two choices: let you go or come after you. And that reaction speaks volumes, because the one who wants to stay, stays. The one who wants to see you does. And the one who values you doesn't wait for you to ignore him to make room for you. But to see this, you must hold your ground. Don't send signals, don't post stories hoping he'll see them. Don't play games. Just remain silent. He'll understand that something has changed, and if he truly cares, he'll show it. Not with words, but with actions. He'll come with clarity, with intention, with a desire to build, not just to regain control. And if he doesn't come, that's okay too. Because in that case, you've gained something far greater: the freedom to stop investing in someone who doesn't know how to cherish you. When you take this final step, the one where you stop moving, everything changes. You're no longer in waiting mode, you're in queen mode. And in that space, only what adds to your life is welcomed. If you've come this far, it's not because of him, it's because of you. Because something within you is awakening. A woman who no longer settles, who no longer gives everything out of fear of losing. A woman who chooses herself. Carl Jung said, "Do not hold on to those who are leaving you, so that those who want to approach can." This video isn't about forcing him to chase you. It's about reminding you that you are worthy of being chosen unconditionally, and that when you stop chasing, you begin to attract what you truly deserve.